There was a rally today in Cambridge calling on the leaders of Harvard to push back against the Trump administration. Harvard has been warned that federal funding will be withheld from the school unless it eliminates DEI initiatives and ramps up its effort to battle anti-Semitism. WBZ's Paul Burton says the demonstrators are urging Harvard to not back down.
When our university is under attack, what do?
Braving cold, rainy temperatures, Harvard University students, faculty, along with Cambridge residents and city leaders came together to speak out and to stand up against President Donald Trump and his administration. The Trump administration has been deporting international students from schools across the country, claiming many of the students have been participating in campus protests.
And we are here today because our universities are under attack. It is an attack on Rumeysa Öztürk, a Tufts grad student who, for writing an op-ed defending freedom for Palestinians, was snatched off our streets and sent to a detention center in Louisiana.
Organizers say so far this month, 12 Harvard affiliates, including 7 current students, have had their student visas revoked, sparking this call for action.
Standing here today comes at a great personal risk for all of us.
Leo Gurdon is an
you a tough one, huh? Tough.
International student from Sweden.
We want the university with an endowment of $50 billion and the best law school in the world to offer all of us full legal representation. Because when ICE agents show up at our doors, Harvard should have our backs.
And standing up for our values comes at a cost for our future. But I didn't travel 5,000 miles all the way from Pakistan just to be afraid of walking 5 feet out of my dorm.
Meanwhile, Harvard released a statement saying, "We resolve to take the measures that will move Harvard and its vital mission forward while protecting our community and its academic freedom." Cambridge City Councilor Patty Nolan is a Harvard graduate. She says whatever the university decides will have repercussions for the city.
I'm an alum. There's thousands of alums who have signed petitions saying, Harvard, stand up, follow the rule of law.
Don't give in without a fight. Don't give in without a fight.
So you see these people here, and I'm going to bring you up to speed. That was yesterday. I'm going to bring you guys up to speed on what happened today. But you see these people here, and they are protesting, and they are basically saying and doing the same thing that they was doing over at the University of Michigan, that they're doing at several different high-profile campuses across the United States of America, and that they are now trying to tell the university and its regents or governors or whatever it is that oversees what happens at the university, right? Not just the university president, but obviously there's always a board. At any corporation and at any major university, there's always a board. And they're telling them to stand up against the Trump administration to then basically possibly get funding denied, right? For whatever reason, and this is the part that I can't understand, is why is $9 billion potentially going over to a private college? That's the part that I have to research. I got to figure that out. Maybe we'll have that conversation on the Millionaire Morning Show tomorrow. But why is there a $9 billion allotment going over to a private college such as Harvard University? Now, Harvard is also one of the most prestigious universities inside of the United States of America in that it has a huge endowment, largely at the benefit of the students as a result of alumni, tuition, and so many other different things. They have multi-billion-dollar They have a multi-billion-dollar endowment that allows for them to be able to distribute the funds or invest it as they see fit. So essentially, Trump administration is saying, hey, listen, we're removing the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. We're going to have a merit-based system. We're also going to make sure that we don't have illegal migrants or people that are over here as a benefit on a student visa, right, attending these universities and feeling like they can incite a riot or protest or do things outside of what we allow for them to do inside of the United States of America. And let's be clear, just because you're not an illegal migrant doesn't mean that you are a U.S. citizen. Your visa can be revoked at any point from the federal government for reasons including, but not limited to, protesting or causing problems and disturbances on student campuses and things like that, which is, it's crazy to me why you would come over here and try to get your education, but then think that you have precedence to come and do things that's not beneficial to the American people. If I go over and I visit another country, I guarantee you I am 100% going to be focused on what I came over there to do, enjoy, get educated or whatever, but I am not there to change the culture because I was not born there and I am there as a guest, not as a person that has some sort of priority or anything like that. But as a result, this is what Harvard's response was now that Trump administration is saying that they are threatening to withhold up to $9 billion in funding, and the students are calling for them to stand up against the Trump administration and then basically just lean on their endowment and student paying their tuition. This is what the response was from Howard.
I do want to get your take on the headline that just crossed the Bloomberg terminal. Harvard rejecting a proposed agreement with the Trump administration, which of course has threatened to halt $9 billion in funding over demands that include things like governance and leadership reforms, merit-based hiring reform, merit-based admissions reform. Harvard University's lawyers saying they will not accept this deal, unlike Columbia, which acquiesced to a lot of demands of the Trump administration. And I wonder what you make of the news.
Very welcome news. You know, if Harvard cannot stand up, who can amongst the universities in this country? And I give the president and the faculty who filed a lawsuit credit for this. This is an attempt to undermine the freedom to engage in a liberal arts education, free speech. Harvard does have issues. They've acknowledged that. They've been working on issues of anti-Semitism. But the fact that Donald Trump can threaten to take away their ability to control their curriculum and other things unless they abide by his wishes is a bridge way too far, and good for Harvard for stepping up. I think Princeton and others will be inspired by this, and the law and hopefully the big shoe law firms will as well going down the road.
Well, so Rick, I'll give you a chance to swing at this one as well. Is this ultimately a fight that Harvard and these universities can win up against an administration that's threatening to pull funding?
Well, let's just be clear. There is no freedom of speech right to spending taxpayer dollars. And that's what this debate is all about. There is an enormous amount of taxpayer dollars going into these institutions, and it's up to government to decide what uses they are. This is where elections matter, and they have consequences. And the consequences in this election is that Donald Trump wants to turn the clock back to a period of time when people like-minded like Donald Trump get to decide what those taxpayer dollars are going to be used for. So he can threaten, he can cajole, but at the end of the day, his only real leverage is taking away federal funding, and that's a taxpayer issue. So I think that at the end of the day, it puts universities in a very difficult position. They're used to, not being being insulated against any kind of political pressure, and in this case, that's not.
And it shouldn't be the case because it is our taxpayer dollars and nobody is entitled to it. And so if you are going to use universities are supposed to be institutions of higher learning, not indoctrination camps. They should not be places where students can insulate themselves or people insulate themselves from being accountable for how it is that we spend the American taxpayer dollars. And I'm glad that Trump is standing up to these universities and not allowing them to be indoctrination camps to ruin all of the lives of the American citizens going forward by changing the narrative and allowing them to be overly liberal and, in a way, discriminating against the people that actually deserve to be there by giving precedence to people just based off of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And why are people that's not even from the United States of America that's here on a student visa determining what happens within the United States of America while also benefiting from taxpayer dollars? I'm still trying to figure out how they are getting or allocated for funding of over $9 billion, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm going to figure that out on my own. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later, and I'll keep you up to date.